Chapter 9. This year my relatives from Mexico City come to visit for Thanksgiving. Even though we don't even celebrate Thanksgiving in Mexico, my family still likes to visit then. Actually, I kind of think they're obsessed with it. Mom uses all the recipes from Betty Crocker, the most American cookbook, for our Thanksgiving meal, and my relatives get excited about it. American food is exotic to them. Still, our dinner is not just American food. Mom makes a couple of special Latin dishes like picadillo and elote. She also likes to have some of my relatives' favorite foods as snacks when they're here, like guava, pan tostada, and papaya. To buy the special foods, we have to go to another town. It's very different from where we live. Almost all the signs are in Spanish. It's a little far, so the only times we go are when we need to go to a store called Lo Sorpresa. Let's pick up some supplies, things for your tia and abuelo, Mom says as she drives to our favorite store. La Sorpresa means surprise in Spanish. It's sort of a perfect name for the store. Even though it's small, it's filled with so many shelves that every turn is like a surprise. The big surprises happen when we get to the produce area. I see so many interesting vegetables and fruits. There are prickly pears, coconuts, yucca, and huge bananas called plantains that are not really bananas. I even see cactus. People eat this? I ask my mom, poking at one of the cactus leaves. See, it's nopales. You like it? I gulp. This is nopales? You mean I've been eating cactus? I don't understand why I haven't noticed the spiny needles going down my throat. She laughs, knowing what I'm thinking. You take off the needles before you cook it. That's why. Whew! Nick grabs a piece of wrapped golden cake that looks like pound cake, except it has sesame seeds. Wait, this is a quesadilla, Mom? Oh, that's delicious. Grab some. They eat that in El Salvador. Your grandmother makes it sometimes. Mom's mom, my abuela, loves to cook. Because abuela grew up in El Salvador, she makes all these different dishes from Central America, Cuba, and Spain. She even makes Italian because some members of her family were from Italy. Boy, I'm happy about that too. Mom knows how to make lots of those delicious dishes because of abuela. I thought quesadillas were with tortillas and cheese, says Nick. They are, but that's a Mexican quesadilla. This is a Salvadorian quesadilla. I get quiet as soon as I start thinking about all the countries that speak Spanish. There are so many, and all of them are different in their own ways. They have different foods and different ways of speaking Spanish. I barely know anything about them, especially Mexico, where I'm from. Then I realize that as much as I think I might fit in better in Mexico than in the United States, I really wouldn't. I know only a handful of things about Mexico from my family. Definitely not enough to make me feel like I fit in. The truth is, we don't go back to Mexico City too often because it's very expensive to get there. I do know that Mexico City used to be the world's largest city. When I close my eyes, I picture it in my head. It makes Chicago seem small. Mom used to say that when Nick first got to Chicago, he would say everything was flat and empty. He later changed his mind after we drove through Iowa. Mom, tell me about Mexico City again, I ask, wanting to picture where we came from. Mexico City is in a valley surrounded by two volcanoes. One volcano is called Popocatépetl. The other is Iztaccíhuatl. According to Aztecs, Iztaccíhuatl is a princess, and Popocatépetl is the warrior who protects her. She's told me about the volcanoes a bunch of times, but I still love hearing about them. It makes me feel like I come from a place that's special, and that I'm connected to that place through her. Mom continues telling us about her home as we stroll through the aisles of the grocery store. I see other families and smile at them. They smile back. I wish I felt more comfortable speaking with them. Still, hearing so much Spanish feels nice to my ears. It's like a warm blanket. Plus, there are so many fun words that sound better in Spanish than in English, like café instead of coffee, or buenísimo instead of really good. Although I would never use both words in the same sentence. Café is not buenísimo. It's gross. Nick pushes the cart while Mom grabs glass jars of pimentos and aceitunas off the shelves. If they weren't too hard to open, I'd eat the aceitunas right away. I love olives almost as much as I love albondigas. Next, Mom searches for the guava and the cheese. Then she checks things off the list and scans down, pausing after a second. Your abuela likes matrimonios when we play cards. Mom's face lights up as she says abuelo. Mom is very close to her dad. When my parents divorced, he stayed with us for a month. He even walked me to school every day. He is also the only person I try to speak Spanish with other than Mom. That's because he lets me talk really, really slowly and takes the time to listen to me. He's so nice that I don't even mind when he laughs at me for saying words wrong or not rolling my R's. Mom reviews her list one last time. We almost forgot the frijoles, she says, pushing the cart back towards the aisle with the canned beans. As Mom searches for the frijoles, I see a girl my age talking to her abuelo in Spanish. For a moment, I feel a little jealous. My jealousy is quickly replaced with a sinking feeling in my stomach. I realize that my relatives are going to be here tomorrow. I cross my fingers and hope that I'll wake up knowing more Spanish. Chapter 10. The next day, Nick and I wait at home while Mom picks up my relatives at the airport. She doesn't take us because she says we'll get bored at the airport. Because my relatives are coming in from a different country, they have to go through customs, which is where they check you to make sure you're not bringing any illegal goods into the country. It can take a really long time. This trip, it's only my mom's sister, my tia Juanas, and my abuelo Apolinar. I haven't seen them in 2 years, so I'm a little nervous. Abuela rarely comes because she's very particular and doesn't like traveling anymore. She'd rather just stay home playing cards. It would be easier if it were my tia Margarita visiting. She comes more often because she travels the world all the time and sometimes stays over in Chicago for a day or two in between her trips. Of all my relatives, she speaks English the best, so I like talking to her the most. She's also very creative, a professor, and speaks 4 languages. I want to be as smart as her when I grow up. While she's gone, Mom puts Nick in charge of watching the turkey. My job is to set the table. I know that's because I have an artistic eye. Nick doesn't know how to fold the napkins into triangles like they do in fancy restaurants on TV. I even make little name tags in the shape of a turkey for everyone's seat. For a while the house is quiet and I'm able to draw. Part of me wants to hide in bed with a book instead of doing Thanksgiving. I feel anxious, almost like it's the first day of school again. Before I can go hide, I hear the front door. Hola, mi amor, says Juanis in a loud voice. She swallows me up in a big hug and kisses both my cheeks. I can't see anything because of her fuzzy sweater, but I can smell her perfume. Juanis wears a lot of makeup. That's different from Mom, who only wears a little makeup when she goes to work. Juanis pulls away from me, then goes to Nick. I can finally see that she's wearing a crazy patterned sweater and leggings. Her short red hair looks wilder than I've ever seen it. Hola, que guapo, she says as Nick beams. He likes being called good-looking. Juanis gets along really well with Nick. She used to take care of him after school when we lived in Mexico City. I sit on the couch and draw while Nick talks to Juanis in Spanish. I don't get a chance to talk to my family as much. To them, I'm just the artista who makes drawings. They don't really know me like they know Nick. He was in 1st grade when we left, while I was just a baby. They don't know what questions to ask me, like what is my favorite fish or my favorite book. And even if they did, I wouldn't know how to tell them in Spanish. So I let them talk without me. Abuelo walks in next with Mom. He's a little slow because he has a limp from losing one of his legs in a bus accident when he was my age. He manages to get around everywhere thanks to his wooden leg, and he never complains about it. Even when he takes his wooden leg off at night, he whistles as he hops into bed. "Da, que preciosa esta Stella," Abuelo says. When he calls me pretty, I have to admit I feel a little less weird. He puts down his guitar and laughs a big belly laugh as he hugs me with both arms. Abuelo sniffs the air. "Donde está la comida, Nick?" Abuelo is obviously hungry as he hugs Nick. "Casi," says Mom, which means the food is almost ready. She takes Abuelo's bag and guitar to Nick's room. Abuelo always brings his guitar when he visits. He used to be a performer in Mexico, playing on a radio program. We freshen up real quick, and I also feed Pancho. "Happy Thanksgiving," I say as I drop an extra food pellet. Then Mom says, "Está listo," announcing that the food is ready. Everyone sits down at the table as Mom brings out the dishes. There's turkey, cornbread stuffing, mashed potatoes, and roasted vegetables. We even have sweet potatoes with marshmallows. Mom says she saw the recipe in a cookbook, but I think it's weird. My favorite things to eat are the dishes that are not American. We make this stuffing called picadillo, which is ground meat with aceitunas. The olives make it feel special, like it's our own treat. Mom also makes elote, corn on the cob with crumbled Mexican cheese on top. I want to dig in, but Mom says we have to say what we're grateful for first. Everyone says a few things in Spanish. When it comes to my turn, I just say very quietly, "Mi familia." I feel as shy as I do when I'm at school, but this is different. At school, I'm only shy about saying the words right, but here around my family, I just don't have the words to say everything I want to say. If I could have said what I'm grateful for in English, I would easily have gone on and on. There's so much, like all the sea creatures in the sea, Mom, Nick, and Jenny, my best friend, but I can't. Not in Spanish. I do try sometimes, but when I try to speak Spanish, Juanes will finish my sentences for me. Like when I say, "Quiero," I say, looking at the picadillo. "Más pavo?" says Juanes, who starts putting more turkey on my plate, which is not at all what I wanted. I push my turkey around with my fork. It's hard to want to talk when people aren't even listening to you. We eat until we're stuffed like pavos. Mom decides to look at photo albums before dessert. "Vamos a mirar fotos de la familia." It's funny to see pictures from before I was born. Everyone is wearing different looking clothing, not to mention their different hairstyles. Both Mom and Dad had long hair. Nick had blonde hair instead of the brown hair he has now. There are even pictures of Dad with his family and Mom's family. Nick points to a picture. He's hitting a piñata with Dad, Abuelo, and my dad's brother Carlos. "I remember that. That's when I turned 4 years old," he says. "And these are the puppets I had at my birthday party." He points to this picture with these amazing wooden puppets. Mom, Juanes, and Abuelo nod. Nick remembers so much. On another page, I see another picture of Abuelo, Tio Carlos, and a woman, I don't know, toasting. "Mom, who's that?" I ask. "Oh, that's your Abuela Carmen, on your dad's side. Her hair is a little different there. That's probably why you didn't recognize her." I've only seen Dad's parents once since we've moved to the United States. While the grown-ups talk, I ask Nick, "Is Tio Carlos nice?" "He is, or at least he was back then. He'd play football with Dad and me." I sort of remember seeing my Tio. He used to live near us. We'd see him regularly until my parents divorced. Then we stopped seeing him, and he moved to Colorado. Mom flips to pictures of when I was born. These are my favorite. I like seeing the pictures of me with tiny little bows in my hair. Everyone agrees that I was the cutest baby. There are also photos of everyone holding me, including Nick. He leans over and messes up my hair. La bébé, Juana says. She touches my arm and gives me a kiss on the cheek. She immediately wipes the pink lipstick off my cheek and grabs my chin. Tu sabes que soy tu segunda madre, Stella, Juana says. Sometimes she likes to tell me she's my second mother. I nod my head. See? Juanas might not always listen, but I know she loves me. After we've given our stomachs a break, we eat 3 different kinds of pie: apple, pecan, and pumpkin. I show Juanas and Abuelo my drawings of the animal project while we eat. Que bueno! Abuelo says they're really good. He especially likes my manatee. Nick then begs Abuelo to play the guitar. He begins to play many songs I know. I love singing along, but sometimes I stay quiet to watch Mom sing. She looks so happy singing with her dad. Mom looks at me. You know, when I was your age, your abuelos would have these amazing parties. Abuelo and all of his musician friends would sing all night. But what about your bedtime? Mom laughs. She translates what I said to Abuelo and Juanas, and it makes them laugh too. Ay, Stella, says Abuela. I tap Mom's arm. Why is that funny? Mom says that my eyebrows are raised up. Don't worry, mi chiquita. It was just cute. Things are a little different in Mexico. Families throw more parties and people are a little less strict with bedtimes. I wouldn't mind that, says Nick. I don't say anything. Part of me wishes we never left Mexico. Sure, the parties and less strict bedtimes would be great, but I also think things would have been easier. We would see each other all the time instead of once every other year. If I lived near them, then they would feel like my family and not like visitors or just like Mom's or Nick's family. Mom also wouldn't have to do everything by herself, and we wouldn't be alone anymore. Abuelo starts singing my favorite song, El Corrido de Chihuahua, and motions to me with his guitar. I know all the words, so I start singing along. Mom stands up. She pulls me to the floor to dance with her and twirls me until I start giggling. She finally stops twirling me, and everything keeps spinning for a second. When I can finally see straight, I notice that my whole family is giggling with me too, even Nick. I'm really happy that giggling and smiling is something that doesn't have to be translated. You just know it when you see it. Chapter 11. Do you want to go with me to my office, Stella? Mom asks the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I need to catch up on some work. Mom sometimes has to go to work on the weekends, when it's really busy at the office. This time it's because she took a few days off to spend time with Abuelo and Tia while they were visiting. Yes, I say. I race upstairs to change out of my pajamas. I'm tagging along with Mom to work. I like to see where she spends her time every day while I'm at school. Nick normally goes biking with Jason instead, so it's our special outing. Mom has an important job as a boss at a radio station, which means she has to look professional all the time. She even has to wear high heels that make her super tall. I like to try them on sometimes, but I can only walk in them for a second. I love the noise they make, though. Since it's the weekend, we both wear sneakers instead. Instead of driving, we ride the Metro train to Mom's work downtown. The train station is covered in signs that say, Metro, the way to really fly. As we ride the train, I like to pretend I'm a grown-up like Mom. I even borrow her briefcase to carry my fish book to read on the train. I read all about clownfish on the ride. Did you know the real name for a clownfish is anemone fish? Mom nods while checking her email. I heard that once. Well, did you also know that male anemone fish take care of the eggs? She puts down her phone. That I did not know. Lucky anemone fish moms. Mom looks out the window for a second. I feel bad that she has to do everything by herself. Dad's not around and he never sends money. The excuse for why he never helped before was he had no money. But now that he works for Tio Carlos, there isn't really an excuse. Mom flutters her lips and turns back toward me. Okay, my little sea explorer, she says, wrapping her arm around me. Tell me more fun fish facts. After I tell her more about the anemone fish for the rest of the ride, we get to her office. I'm excited. Going to work makes me feel important and grown up. As we enter the building, we have to wave a badge. Why does closed-circuit television mean, Mom? I say, pointing to a sign. It means that there are cameras recording who comes in and out of the building. Cool, she laughs. Near the elevator sits a security guard named Carl, who wears an official uniform. Working again, Miss Diaz? Just for a little while, Carl. Carl winks at me. I salute him back. After opening a bunch of doors with Mom's badge, we finally get to where she works. From there, we pass the vending machines with food I've never seen before. What's a honey bun, Mom? My face is pressed up to the glass. I am not sure. Honestly, it's an American thing. I've never had it. Can we try it? I ask, pressing my face closer. Maybe another time. Mom keeps walking, and I have to run to catch up with her. Near the vending machines is a whole kitchen with a refrigerator and a bunch of tables. Do you eat here, Mom? Sometimes. Many times I have business lunches, or I eat in my office. As we continue to walk to her office, we pass all kinds of computer equipment. There are huge photocopy machines with so many buttons I want to push and levers I want to pull, but I don't. We walk past the DJ booths where all the people who talk on the radio work. There are even more buttons here, ones that light up too. I recognize the voice of the DJ, but we don't really listen to this radio station too much in the car. Mom likes listening to salsa and classical music instead. That's when I notice the man in the booth. He steps out for a second and says, Buenos dias, señora. Hola, she says. Nacho? Ella es mi hija Stella. Mom introduced me to Nacho. I turn roja and hide behind Mom. He laughs and says, Mucho gusto, Stella. I know that means nice to meet you. So to be polite, I say, Sí, igualmente. Then I run ahead of Mom. And we finally get to her office. I love Mom's office. I usually like to lie on her couch or sit across from her desk pretending that I'm her assistant. I also like going through all of her cabinets and drawers. I don't think she always likes it, but I can't help it. What do you want to do while I'm working, Stella? She says as she turns her computer on. She looks a little stressed out. I pause, closing a drawer full of Post-it notes and pens. Then I get an idea. Can I write a story, Mom? See? She says. While she works in her office, I decide to go into an empty cubicle. I get office supplies from the supply closet and grab every color pen they have. Then I get down to work. I decide today I'm going to write about the pirate Captain Rob and his sidekick, Monkey. Nick and I like to pretend we're pirates when we're swimming, so I dedicate it to Nick at the beginning. I try to make it as close to a real book as possible. I put in a title page, and I even write a biography for myself at the end. When I'm done, my book is 10 pages long with drawings. I tiptoe to Mom's office. She's typing away at her computer while chewing on a pen. Mom? Monday? Mom says, looking distracted. I finished my story. Wonderful. I'm almost done too. Okay, I say. But it takes her a little bit longer than she says. I get bored waiting, so I explore around the office a bit. I even make myself a cup of hot cocoa in the kitchen. That gives me even more energy, so I quietly run from cubicle to cubicle, peeking in to see everyone's pictures and decorations. Finally, I make my way back to her office. Sorry, Stella. Really, just a couple more minutes and then we'll eat lunch, she says, typing away on the computer. While she finishes, I lie on her couch and hang my head over the side. I look at her and her office upside down. She has a few pictures of Nick and me on the wall. She also has one of my drawings. That's the one I did on our trip to Wisconsin Dells from a couple of years ago. It was one of our last trips as a family before my parents divorced. I did a drawing of a little deer and pine trees we saw as we rode on the sled. I look over at Mom. Mom looks so serious as she works. I feel bad that Dad isn't so good at being a dad. If he was, Mom wouldn't have to work so hard. I wonder if she likes her job. I don't even realize that I say it out loud. It's a fun job. Sometimes it's too long, she says. And I'd rather be at home with tu y tu hermano. Or on the beach, she winks. Enough work anyway. Show me your book. I walk over to her. Be prepared to be amazed. It's the best thing I've ever done. I'm sure it is. We read my book together. It's the epic story of Captain Rob and Monkey, who go in search of treasure, and the evil pirate who tries to steal it. The story ends with a cliffhanger because I plan on writing a sequel. When we're done reading, she spins her chair to face me and gives me a hug. I love it, Stella. I know what will make it more official. We can do it while we're leaving. She locks up her office, and we walk over to the room with the photocopier and other fancy machines. She heads to one that looks like it has giant teeth and grabs a coil, a piece of plastic, and a piece of black paper. Por favor, she says, motioning for me to give her my story. She puts the plastic in front. Then she puts the black paper on the back. Next, she inserts the coil around the giant teeth in the machine. Before she grabs the big handle, she says, Watch your manitas. I move my little hands. Then there's a big snap. My pages are bound together. I squeal. It's a book! When I go to school the next day, I walk over to Miss Bell's desk before class starts. I wrote a story over Thanksgiving break, Miss Bell. That's wonderful, Stella, Mrs. Bell says. Do you want to read it out loud to the class? I shake my head no. What if I help you and we read only a little bit? I guess so. I'm really proud of my story and I do want to share it with the class. I just don't want to have everyone looking at me. The last thing I want is a repeat of the first day of school. When the class bell rings, Miss Bell stands up in front with my book. Look at what one of your classmates did over the weekend. Stella drew and wrote a whole story just for fun. It's called Captain Rob and Monkey. She starts flipping through the pages. I feel roja. Cool pirates, says Stanley. Miss Bell starts reading my story, and it actually sounds pretty good. Then she looks over to me. Stella, would you like to read a paragraph? I get up. I'm shaky. I read the paragraph quickly and never look up the whole time. Then I sit back down. Thank you, Stella. I think you did a great job, she says and hands me back my book. This relates perfectly to your annual project. Class, you've all been working hard researching. Well, there's a new part to the project. You all will be presenting the projects to the class. You'll have to talk for 5 minutes each and show us everything you learned about your project. Now, everyone knows that just talking in front of the class can be a little boring. So I want you to make the presentations fun and exciting. Like costumes? asked Ben. Yes, you can wear costumes. You can do a dance. Anything is possible. I'm going to wear my equestrian outfit, says Jessica. Her family owns a horse, so naturally she's doing her project on horses. As the whole class starts talking, I get extra quiet. Now I have to do a whole presentation with complete sentences, and it's supposed to be entertaining? Maybe if I wear a giant sheet on my head, it will be less scary. Then I look down at my book. Maybe it won't be so bad. I made it through reading a paragraph in front of the whole class and didn't stumble at all. That's way better than the first day. Maybe I can do this. I see Stanley looking at me. Then I see Jessica, who looks carefree and even excited about the presentation. Nope, I have a feeling this story isn't going to end well.